Yo, what's up guys, how's everyone doing? Hope you're all having a fantastic day once again. It has been, well, quite an eventful day for the cryptocurrency space within the past 36 hours. Guys, last night I put out a stream, obviously, and we were talking about the possibilities of what could happen. And, one of the things I mentioned was, the stream went live just after the SEC announcement that would be delaying the ETF approval or denial news until September the 29th. And, of course, this was expected across the whole market, and like I said, actually it was a pretty good sign because were they to deny it, the chances were that they wouldn't even need to extend it. So the fact that they are extending it does potentially mean that they are trying to find a way to accept it, but nonetheless, I did mention that since that incentive was so close to us in the market at the time, it was then completely removed. Downward movement was definitely to be expected, much more likely as a result of that news. And literally minutes after the stream, we started dumping and we went below the 6,800 level. I mean, we bottomed out at exactly where my support line has been for months now, months plural, about 6,150. I mean, we bottomed out right there. It was perfect, the bounce up. Of course, we've been trading in this range many times before, once over here back in July. This was when we gave the signal to buy, and also back here in June. So we've definitely had a lot of interaction with this range, which is why 6150 has been quite an important level. And guys, I mean, if we look at the one-day chart, we have been going just continuously downward for so many days now. I mean, I haven't seen anything like this ever in my trading career, and it's a long period of downward movement. If I were to measure this, we dropped by about 25%, 10 bars, meaning 10 days of straight downward movement. Really, I mean, we only had one candle to break this up, which of course I did say we would get. But I mean, that's a doji. If anything, it should have been reversal. And since we've had this break up our trend, yeah, I mean, it's possible that we can just continue to go straight down. But, because we haven't seen anything like this for so long, I mean, we're pretty much in uncharted territory as far as how much more this can go down continuously. And especially, if we look at something like the shorts on Bitcoin, I know I haven't looked at this for a very long time, but now that we're back into this range, I think it is time to start taking a look at the shorts. It's gone pretty high. I mean, on this daily candle for the shorts, it's jumped from 22 to 26,000 short orders on Bitfinex. So that is pretty large. That's a pretty large jump. Conversely, we take a look at the longs. And yeah, I mean, it's really not done much. It's hardly moving anywhere. Past couple of days it has ramped up, but really nothing too huge. I mean, that's probably, if anything, a testament to the volume. We go back to this chart, and just because we've gone down for so many days, guys, and we look at the sentiment, people calling for hugely low targets. I mean, like 3,000, and I also mentioned in our VIP stream today that we were even seeing targets like 3-digit targets, like $900 or something, which to me was pretty crazy. Given that we've had such downward movement like that, I mean, it's been very heavy downward movement as well, something I really didn't expect. I can't see my notes now, my microphone's blocking it. I am expecting potentially at least a bounce, something like a rally potentially to test 6,800 support turn resistance, maybe a level like 6,400, which is a weaker resistance level potentially, something like that. Definitely a bounce in the works, and we did get something like that. I think I'm on the wrong chart. Yeah, let's take a look at the 1 hour. Yeah, so on the 1 hour, we did actually see some green volume here, which was a nice sign. I mean, this green volume bar is among the biggest we've seen during this sell-off for the past couple, hours, really. So it was a good sign. I mean, it did save us right when we fell down to the 6150 level, and of course, it's worked out really well that we had our line there. I mean, this is yet another example of why technical analysis does work in these markets. I still think people are crazy who say TA doesn't work on Bitcoin. I mean, they're just bad at doing TA. We did get a very nice bounce off there. It did happen with volume. If I look at volume market wide right now, This is actually a good sign. We've now had up to $15.7 billion volume just a couple hours ago. On the 24-hour volume, we were up to $17.2 billion, which is pretty big. That's a pretty big deal. I think that's a great sign. I mean, of course, we are moving down, so the volume in this case is confirming downward movement, but nonetheless, we are getting some sort of confirmation. And of course, if we are going down, there are going to be a lot of profits to make off that, guys. I mean, I did, like I mentioned, VIP stream. I outlined what may be my biggest play as a trade in VIP. I have outlined that in exclusive VIP streams. If you guys are interested, go ahead and click the link in the description to join the free Telegram channel, and then at the bottom of that, click at 4Flies at the bottom of the post in that channel, and you'll be able to message me to join VIP. Like I said, I am expecting green movement. We did get this big green pump. Potentially what we could be looking at is some form of a continuation pattern, maybe a falling wedge, and then we rise higher. That is actually quite unlikely, though. I mean, much more so than that. What we most likely are looking at is some form of a bear flag pattern. So I'm going to draw this with the paint tool, something like that, and then we break down. I think that's quite likely in a situation like that. Of course, if that's not going to happen, we could also go sideways a little bit and then break down, because of course our volume, despite this one green volume bar, overwhelmingly it is the red volume that's been driving the market right now. And of course, since we have dropped below the $6,800 level, that does mean that our uptrend is now also no longer intact. We are no longer setting higher lows. We are actually at the prior low where we were at, can't speak now, that we had before. So this was our prior low, and we're sitting right there right now. So the uptrend has more or less been completely negated. I would be quite surprised if we were to get, the true uptrend now to $20,000. I think before we do see $20,000 now, we are probably going to see other levels like 3,000 or something, 4,000, 5,000 almost definitely. So of course, none of this is financial advice. This is just what I'm thinking. But it doesn't matter. We can of course short the market, and as I have been saying for a fair bit now, shorting is actually a little bit easier to make profits because we're not going into uncharted territory. It's very easy to predict how the market is going to act when fear is involved. Fear is an extremely profitable human emotion. You guys have heard me talk about that a little bit earlier. I sound like a complete psychopath right now, but that's the nature of the markets, and we can make profits off that, so it's not a problem. Now, like I said, we should be getting a bounce. We've been going down for many days. We haven't been getting it. The volume is confirming further downward movement. So on the whole, nothing to trade right now. I mean, it's we really should be going up. At the very least, we should be potentially forming something like this rising wedge, if not at least just going sideways for a couple days minimum. But really, it's looking like that's not going to happen. Of course, technicals do get thrown out of the window a little bit when fear is such a huge driving factor in the market, and of course right now it absolutely is. So it's a tricky one to navigate right now. Like I said, we really should be going up, but we're showing no signs of it at the moment. We did have a bounce, but really what it looks like being is actually, back to the 1 hour chart, it's much more likely to be some form of a bear flag, some form of a bearish continuation pattern. So this idea that it's going to go up, probably not going to happen. It should, but it's not. And so that's why I have not been trading in this range. I mean, the only thing I've done in this area is offloaded some Bitcoin as a hedge, and that has worked out pretty well for us. As for the other indicators, I mean, now we go back to the daily Ichimoku cloud, and the picture is crystal clear. We have now completed our rejection from this Ichimoku cloud. We've had our bearish crossover, which was today. On the 1 day chart, we did have our bullish crossover. If you traded these crossovers, you'd be in a loss. As I have been saying, EMAs have been absolutely great, but EMA crossovers as confirmations have been absolutely terrible. If you, for example, if you sold here, where is it? If you were to sell here on this bearish crossover, you'd sell at 8,400. You'd be told to buy again at 7,500. I mean, sure, you would have missed out. You would have missed out on losses, which is a good thing. But you be at a loss today if you ended up selling $1,000 lower than your previous buy. So EMA crossovers have not been a reliable indicator, but nonetheless, since we are in a downtrend, it is the bearish crossovers that tell us a lot about the market. So we had a bearish crossover here, a bearish crossover here, another one over here, which I just went over, and now another one. So if that's anything to go by, we've got a long way down just looking at the crossover. I mean, these crossovers happen near the top of these downtrends. So yeah, I mean, going below 5,800 now is, from where I'm seeing things, it is almost an inevitability at this point. And that doesn't mean you're going to lose out on profits. Like I said, I have outlined what could be my biggest play, and that would, I mean, I don't, you know, if it works, it probably will. I've never seen profits that big, so it would be pretty fun. It won't go below 5k, I promise you. Well, Alexis, thank you. I mean, if you promise me, surely. I mean, I wish it worked that way, mate. Of course, I'd like it to go to 20,000 and not 5,000, 4,000, but it's a way to accumulate before it does rise higher. The good thing is that the Ichi cloud is slowly getting smaller. Yes, it absolutely is. If we look back at this cloud, I mean, it was starting to close up. It's now no longer going to get smaller, DJ. It is actually going to get a little bit bigger again, which is not a good sign. But nonetheless, I mean, like I said, one of the good things about this cloud right now is that were we to somehow test this cloud now, I mean, it's a very thin cloud. It probably wouldn't take much to push us through this. It depends on what kind of catalyst we have. Alexis, yeah, he confirms that he promises. Thank you very much. So yeah, I mean, since this is such a thin cloud, I think that's a fairly good sign. Apart from that, guys, I mean, really, there isn't much to draw from this chart. I mean, what we've had right now, Bitcoin 12-month bear market really confirmed as the title. Well, I mean, if we look back to our Bitstamp chart, where is that? Right here. Turn off these indicators. I mean, where is it? Yeah, so this 2013 bubble pop. We saw a series of failed rallies. I think this one is most similar to where we're at right now, dropping these support levels, this triple bottom area. Yeah, I mean, it looks like we're somewhere like this potentially right now. 12-month bear market, it's very possible. Of course, I don't know that. I mean, like I always say, it's not my trading style to predict what's going to happen in the long term. I'm always looking for the profits that I can make in the next 24 to 72 hours. And of course, those profits are exponential, so it really doesn't matter whether it's going to be a 12-month bear market or a 12-month bull market. Right now, though, I think of course we are due for a bounce. We're not getting it, but we are due for one. I mean, we look at the RSI, it was overbought at a reading of what, 79, something like 77 at its peak, and we're now down to 31, so nearly oversold in one move. I mean, it really hasn't had any sort of a break. There's no arching up of this RSI cloud. I mean, it arches to become I mean, the gradient levels out a little bit to be flat, but at no point does it arch bullish, maybe apart from right here. So yeah, I mean, that was our chance and we missed it. It's a terrible, I mean, like I said, the RSI has not been a reliable indicator. That's why I haven't been using it, but I think it's worth pointing out right now just how bloody these 10 days have been. I mean, it's a straight downward movement. Really nothing that I've expected at all. I mean, we should have had many points where Bitcoin actually started to bounce up, but none of those points came. So that is definitely something to be concerned of. From where I'm seeing things, that is why, like I said, I have not been trading in this range. I'm more of the pessimistic side, thinking second half of the year is beginning of bull, but you never know. Yes, Steve Brawl, I mean, if you mean second half of next year, very possible, yeah, I mean, that would actually line up with the Bitcoin halving, which would make, well, in theory, it would make Bitcoin twice as valuable. Todd, please do the reverse chart. Sure, I think that's a great idea. Let's go ahead and take a look at the reverse Bitcoin charts, the inverse chart. Guys, if you don't know what this is, it's where we analyze Bitcoin upside down, so the vertical axis is flipped around, and the idea here is to remove bias by using this chart. Well, you see, yeah, this is, I think what this is telling us is, see, like if we look at the volume down here, let's put a vertical line on this so that it's extremely clear. So this is really where the uptrend sort of started, where the up wave started, and what we've been seeing is volume that confirms it. The volume isn't huge. It's not as huge as the red volume which we saw over here, but since we've only had we've only had 1 day of red volume and the rest of it is ascending green volume on the daily, yeah, I think that could potentially indicate that we would break this resistance zone. That could be a confirmation, some sort of early warning that we are going to break this resistance and go flying up. And of course, in that case, yeah, that does mean we'd be going down to very low levels. We have really, I mean, we're right on the apex of this ascending triangle, I think, that I drew many weeks or months ago now. So it looks like we're going back into this range. I mean, the volume did confirm that we could have gone higher. Of course, like I said, in a trend like this, we're in an established downtrend. We were in a rising wedge within that downtrend, and we broke down out of it. So really what should have happened is that we'd end up going into free fall. But of course, that didn't happen because, well, I guess it looks like a fake breakout from this right now. And it looks like, yeah, we're right. See, this line is really telling. You know, if we go above this line, we close above it, that is, I mean, that's it. And it looks on this chart, I know it's only the inverse, so really it should look exactly the same. But on this chart, it doesn't look as certain that we are going to go down, just because we look at the long-term trend. And it is highly unlikely that we're suddenly going to go back into this trend. This kind of a pattern is a reversal pattern. But the triple top over here is indicative of a reversal as well, meaning going downwards. A lot of mixed signals. It's not easy to tell right now. I mean, if we do look at the regular chart for the log chart, I mean, it's the same story really. I mean, we're in a long-term uptrend. We were in a falling wedge. Even these patterns, I mean, these 10 days of movement does not change the larger picture. We're in a falling wedge formation, and we just break out and start rallying higher, just because this is an established uptrend. And what you get is breaks in that trend. You get falling wedge formations, falling wedge, falling, well, sort of falling wedge, you know, various different I mean, Bitcoin has done them so many times, and then it continues on higher. I mean, it looks so likely. When you know, my log chart perception has been untouched by this. I mean, you know, when you look at the log chart, it's very hard to deny that that we're still in a very firm long-term uptrend. But of course, the more nuanced chart, the one that I trade off, is telling us something completely different. It is telling us that we failed our third rally. We failed it with volume. I mean, we don't have the catalyst in the market anymore. Fundamentally, that's going to lead the average Joe to FOMO buy. It looks like pretty good confirmation to me, at least for the short term, but we will have to see, you know, does it bounce? How does it bounce? Is it going to consolidate? That kind of thing. Guys, if we can smash up those likes, that would be pretty cool. I've just noticed, you know, 500 viewers. How many shitcoins will still be in here? What was that? In 10 years, Bitcoin forever, my dudes. Well, Alexis, Bitcoin has been around for 10 years now. I don't know. I think it's already past its birthday, hasn't it? That was in January or something. It is, you know, 10 years ago, iPhones were laughed at, and they were seen as the nerdy phones. Blackberries were the cool ones. I still have a Blackberry. But you know, saying anything about 10 years in the future is not easy to predict. I mean, I don't even know if Bitcoin will be around in 10 years. Shitcoins always, oh well, there's no denying they will be gone in 1 year. Stratus, for example, let's take a look at one of these bad boys. Actually, Binance is not the right chart for this. Stratus last year was one of the coins that I was really into. I mean, it was going to be one of my only long-term holds. I mean, back in 2017, it had its bubble way earlier than Bitcoin. And since this time last year, August, where is August? August is right here. It is down about 80% from its August high to right now. I mean, it's a dead chart. This is not... People will look at this chart and be like, oh yeah, well, it's down to the accumulation phase and now it's going to rocket up. And I mean, yeah, it's possible, but it's dead. I mean, this is what a dead chart looks like. Of course, some will be diamonds in the rough and they will explode, but would you really put your money there when you can make money much easier, for example, shorting and longing Bitcoin? I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. Stratus, one of those, I mean, one of the many. We look at the altcoin market today. Bitcoin down 6.87%. Go ahead and change this to Bitcoin price and we can see it. All these other alts in the red today. Tether up 7% against Bitcoin. Ethereum, the only one doing well. Everything else losing value against Bitcoin. 10%, 8%, 2% on top of Bitcoin's already 6% loss. Alts are getting absolutely smashed. It has been reflected in the Bitcoin dominance, now rising above 49%. I mean, this is the highest it has been for the whole year in 2018. I mean, it's now at an all-time, well, a 2018 high. And so really, the sky, I mean, my screen's cut off. Oh yeah, that's okay, DA, that's fine. I mean, you see all the relevant info, so that's okay. But yeah, I mean, seeing Bitcoin dominance over here, I mean, I've been calling it for weeks. We all know. Altcoins, I mean, they dropped, okay, they're dropping another 3%. 3% might not sound like much, but when you consider it's already probably down like 80%, another 3% drop is huge, assuming you bought at the top. I mean, that's another huge loss. And just because it looks like a small number, it does not mean that you're not losing a large amount of money. I mean, these 7%, I mean... it is a huge loss. These small numbers, I mean, they've been happening over a very long time. Monero was up to like $400 and now it's down to 93. I mean, Neo, $180 all-time high, I believe, and now sitting at $22. I mean, it's down 13%, but that's down from such a high level. So yeah, I mean, it's I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm surprised people are A, still buying, and B, still holding. I mean, if you're still holding, then you better be in it for the very long term, and let's hope you picked a good one, because most of these coins will not recover. I mean, of course, like I said, not financial advice, but most of them aren't going to recover, plain and simple. It will only be the strong ones. D asking about Quantum. Quantum is one of the ones that I think will recover. It's going to be one of those quiet coins. But really, I mean, this is one that does have the potential to do well. Neo, for example, even Omai's Go, I mean, it's been very strong in the face of all of this red. I mean, it's climbed quite high. BNB, these kinds of coins, these are the ones that will probably recover. But if we're looking at, Power Ledger, I mean, who even cares about Power Ledger anymore? Loopring, I mean, these things have been forgotten. NX and Next, I mean, Z Classic, 10X, I mean, they can't even run their USP anymore. Why is it still in the top 100? It's a dead market for these coins, guys. I mean, I wish there was another nicer way to put it, but Bitcoin dominance says it all. I mean, this is just going to keep on rising. Why don't I short alts if they won't recover? Kiko, you cannot short most alts, but I am actually almost 100% ready to start shorting some alts that are available to short. My thoughts on Blockport, Nuruddin, I'm glad you brought that up, because Blockport is one of the only ICOs that I have very happily invested in, and I had a great run with them. I loved their concept, but they've proven to be an extremely poor team behind the project, and they haven't really delivered on the things they were meant to. I have serious concerns for their management, so I've sold it, and I'm probably never going to look back. They've proven that they're, what's the word, unreliable now. They will be unreliable in the future. I mean, the kind of ways they've done it. I was speaking to their team, so I have first-hand experience with them. I loved the coin before, but I just don't think they have a bright future anymore. I mean, they may do, and to be honest, I love their concept. So if they do, I'd be quite happy. But can't survive on hopes and dreams. No, you cannot. Very well said, Izzy. This is America. We we ran on hope. Taking it very real right there, Alexis. People went from Lambo to shoes walking. Well, I mean, JD, there are people who have been shorting this market, who are at all-time highs. You take a look at our VIP group, for example. I mean, many people at their all-time highs right now. So, yeah, I mean, it's the people who have been fed this false hope, the hopium it's called in the crypto space. Hopium meaning, well, opium is obviously an opiate, something to help you cope with pain, and so hopium, you get the picture. Yeah, I mean, that's not a financial strategy. We all know it now. Of course, it would have been nice if we knew it earlier, but there's the lesson, and now it's time to learn from that and make sure that it never happens again. But altcoins, altcoins will have their time. I want to take a look at ICX, actually. This is one of the coins that I have been interested in. Yeah, that's ready to break support, I think. It is showing some good green volume, but that's ready to break support. Almost definitely. I mean, this is not the bottom for ICX, put it that way. I'd be highly surprised if it is. Yeah. I am ready to buy ICX when it goes below, what is it, like 10,000 Satoshis? But right now I will be standing back a little bit and let the blood continue to run. Let's look at how far low it is from all-time high. I think we did this before, but I want to check it again. So, and by the way, I'm going to use this as a very, very useful way to put this whole market into perspective. ICX is down about 87% from its all-time high. 87% loss. So that's about average for the entire market of people invested in shitcoins. ICX, of course, in my opinion, is not a shitcoin, but it's down 87%. And now let's look at how much of a gain you need to make that back. So to break even, assuming you bought at the all-time high, to break even on that 87% loss, you would need a 700% gain. So is this even on the screen? Can you guys see this? Yeah, you can. So, I mean, it's not recoverable. I mean, 700% gain to make back an 87% loss. And you consider, I mean, it's going to go down another 10%. That, I mean, let's see how much further. I mean, let's draw that. So down from 10,000 Satoshis, roughly 10%, and that's 700. Yeah, that 700% you need turns into 800%. If it goes down a further 10%, you need another 2x gain to break even. I mean, you keep on holding on to these alts, and it just gets way more bloody the worse it gets. And if Bitcoin is ready to go below 5,800, then you better believe the alts will follow. I mean, I honestly did not expect it to get this bad. I knew it was going to be, like I said, I sold ICX back over here. I knew it was going to be bad, but not anywhere near this scale. And the thought that if Bitcoin goes below 5,800, alts will continue to bleed, that thought is terrifying to me. I'm not even in alts. I just feel so sorry for the people who are, because I mean, that is too heavy. I mean, that's way. I cannot even think of the losses there would be. I think most people are probably out at this stage, though. They've got to be. I may be mistaken. I don't know. Okay, so there is something wrong with this screen. I've just noticed. I'm not too sure why it's off center. But I think, with that, I am pretty much done covering my TA and the things I wanted to go over. Really, I mean, like I said, we should be getting a bounce, some sort of consolidation. We haven't got it yet. We could be forming it right now. The market is still bearish. Like I said, we should see some sort of a rising wedge, but we're not. And in light of that, this is just not a good place to be trading from where I'm seeing things. Let's check out the chat real quick, see what else is going on here. Captain, worth joining VIP ASAP. Massive signals incoming. Thank you very much. Yeah, great to see VIP members preaching it and sharing the love a little bit. Full Flies, have I read up on the quantitative tightening, global reduction of the money supply? The scammer, no, I haven't, but I really want to. So if you have anything like an article or something, please do send it to me. But this is crypto. Tomorrow things can turn around. Crypto chick, it definitely can. Tomorrow could be the start of our next bull market. Could be. But will it? That's the most important thing. I mean, it definitely could. It is crypto. I mean, we could get another market buy. Like, if you guys remember April the 12th, I mean, we went from 6,800 to 8,200 in one pump, 8,100 or something. So that was a huge, I mean, that's a $1,000+ pump. I mean, if it's going to happen anytime, it's probably going to happen right around here because we've been going down for so long. So crypto chick, it definitely could. It's just a case of will it. Any alts you have a super down, buy time or you're wrecked. Yeah, I mean, Hector, like I said, I will be looking to buy ICX. I mean, it's like I said, there really isn't anything that justifies this huge sell-off, even for Bitcoin. So if we look at it technically, I mean, it's still a sound coin. I think it's going to be great as a long-term buy and hold. It's one of the only coins I would consider. Bitcoin is done going to $300 from OC Landscaping. That's funny. In it for the fundamentals, long game, long for the games. Yeah, I mean, I hope that's true. Yes, come back in 3 years. I lost that comment now. Sorry. Oh yeah, found it. Just make sure when you come back it's not in the bear market. Yeah, definitely. Oh, the scammer, yeah, it won't let you send web addresses just because it is a live chat and those are blocked. But if you can, I mean, if it's no trouble to you, send it to me on Telegram. But if not, no problem. What else have we got in the chat today? XRP long term, I don't really look at XRP to be honest. Same thing happened every bear market. It only turns around when every retail investor has lost hope. CC, very good point. I mean, if you've read my post about disbelief, it's in the Gold Telegram channel. I think everyone should take a read if you haven't already. It does cover exactly that, and I think it's quite a good read for most people who don't really know about these market cycles. But yeah, I mean, like, it doesn't mean the end of the days. I mean, we all in this chat, we know how to buy and sell. We know how to long and short, most of us. And if not, it's hard to learn at first, but I mean, it's like the most profitable thing you could ever learn, most profitable thing you could ever spend time to learn. I mean, it was for me anyway. If you can short this market, you can come out of it with 100 times more Bitcoin than you entered the bear market with. And then when we go into a bull market, of course, assuming we do, that's up to you if you believe we will. When we go into the next bull market, you're going to be equipped with however many Bitcoins. If it's plural, if it's just one, doesn't really matter. Whatever is a lot to you. You go into the next bull market, say we hit 20k, it's going to be pretty glorious, and it is winners like that who take advantage of the bear markets. Warren Buffett, famous quote, something like, buy when there's blood running in the streets, be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. On that note, guys, I am going to end this stream. Please do take a think about those two things. I think those are invaluable quotes that can turn the average Joe into a billionaire. Warren Buffett, I mean, I have my issues with him. It's not like we've got this personal beef, but there are some things I disagree with him on, but I accept that he knows way more than I probably even ever will. And for that, I value what he says hugely. And I think everyone watching should as well. That's Rothschilds, is it? I'm not sure. I don't think so. If it is, my bad. But yeah, with that, I'm out, guys. Peace.